Hello. Today we're going to look at a tapped arpeggio. We're going to be looking at D minor 7. This shape is going to cover 3 strings, but we're going to be skipping strings in between. So we're going to start on the A string, skip to the G string, and then skip to the E string. By focusing on just one arpeggio, we're going to look at the technique of how to tap through this, and then look at ways of practicing that and developing that technique. And then once you've got the hang of this, you can start to learn other chords and arpeggios to use with the same technique. So D minor 7 has the notes D, F, A and C. D is obviously the root note, F is a minor third above D, A is a fifth above D, and the C is a minor seventh. So with this root, minor third, perfect fifth, minor seventh, we get a minor 7 chord. And we're going to play each note individually, so it's an arpeggio rather than a chord. So the chord we're basing it on is D minor 7. And what we're doing is we're using this bar chord shape that you might be familiar with as a basis for this. And we're going to start on the A string on the 5th fret. That gives us the root note D. Then we're going to hammer on to the 8th fret, which is the F. And then we're going to tap with the picking hand on the 12th fret A string, which obviously is the note A. So this gives us DFA, which is the D minor triad. Since we haven't added the C yet, which is the 7th, we've just got a D minor and not a D minor 7. Now, at this point, if you're not used to doing any tapping or hammer-ons and pull-offs, it's worth just practicing this until you get the hang of it and get the feel for it. So you can just go over this. Just over and over until you get the feel for it. All I'm doing is playing the D by hammering down with my index finger. Then again hammering with my little finger. And then the tap, I'm using my middle finger on my picking hand. You can use any finger you like. I tend to hold the pick between my thumb and index finger and tap with my middle finger. Now, since the A is on the 12th fret, we can also play this as an open string. So you can extend this a bit and play A, D, F, A like this. And so you can get quite a bit of speed up with that. It's a great way to practice this in a way that's kind of fun. So once you get the hang of that, we can start introducing in the next string, which is going to be the notes C, D, and F again. So the C is our minor 7th, the D is a root note again, an octave higher, and the F is another minor third. So for this part, I'm playing the 5th fret G string, using my ring finger to play the 7th fret, again on the G string, and then tapping the 10th fret on the same string. So again, you can practice just that string on its own until you get the hang of it, and then start to incorporate both strings. So we get if you find that the A string is ringing out after you've moved to the next string, you can use the palm of your right hand or your picking hand to stop that while you're tapping the G string. Moving on to the E string, we've got the 5th fret, which is the note A, so this is the 5th of the chord. Then we're going to hammer on with our little finger onto the 8th fret. That's the C again, so that's the minor 7, so we've got the 5th, minor 7, and then we're going to add the root note at the top, which is on the 10th fret, and that's going to be a tap with your picking hand. And then you can descend the whole thing. Once you're comfortable with that, we can do all 3 strings. And again, if you need to, just practice between the G and the E. So you can practice these ascending, descending, or ascending and descending. So ascending would just be or. Or the whole thing. And then descending. And again, you can just do pairs of strings. Now, once you start getting the hang of this, this full thing, you can start to play around with the timing a bit, just to make things a little bit more interesting or introduce a bit more of a melodic context. So one example of that would be to add a swing rhythm. So we would get something like this. And then you can change up some of the timing a bit with that and make it a bit more interesting. So there I'm just playing the higher parts faster. And adding a couple of notes at the bottom. All the same notes, but just repeating them. So we've always just got D, F, A, and C. So try that, experiment with different timings, and you'll start to find different ways of using it, rather than just playing it straight in the exact same way all the time. This will make it a bit more interesting when you're practicing, and it helps you to find new ways of just getting used to the technique. Okay, so if you want to take this a little bit further, a great way to practice this would be to play over a backing track. Since we're playing D minor 7, any backing track in the key of D minor is going to work really well. You could also treat this as the Dorian or Phrygian chord, both of which would be a minor 7. So if we were in the key of C major, then we would get D Dorian, and so we can use the D minor 7 over it. And if we had a backing track in the key of B flat major, again D would be the third of that mode, the third of that scale, giving us the D Phrygian mode. So again, D minor 7 would work over a B flat major backing track. For the example that we'll do in a second, we'll use D minor backing track. If you're a Patreon member, you can download this backing track and try it out for yourself. If not, check out YouTube. You can find some backing tracks that are in keys that will work. If we're going to play over a D minor backing track, then what we can do is, as well as tapping the arpeggio, we can start to introduce other notes from that scale. So if you check the post on our website, you'll see a diagram which has the the arpeggio shape, but with also the notes from D minor imposed over it, so you can figure out which frets to play. I'll also put that diagram up on screen. So basically what we can do is, since we know the first string is going to be D, F and A, our root, minor third and fifth, we know that if we go back 2 frets from our fifth, we get a fourth. And if we go back 1 fret from the minor third, we get the second. So we can actually play the first, second, third, fourth, fifth notes from the scale, and we can also add the 6th on the 13th fret. So any of these notes are going to work. So while we're tapping the arpeggio, we can start to add in those notes whenever we like, just to give things a bit more interest. Again, on the G string, since we know that we're playing the minor third here with the picking hand on the 10th fret, we can move this up to a fourth on the 12th fret, and we can move that up again to a fifth on the 14th fret, and then the minor 6 will be on the 15th fret. So we can kind of do that kind of thing. We would also have the second here as well on the 9th fret. So if you can start to add those in, then you can start making this sound more interesting, even though we're just still staying in one position. The E string, again, we can do similar things. We've got the 5th, the 7th and the root note. So we can, from the root, we can add the 2nd and the minor 3rd on the 12th and 13th frets. And again, we could add a 6th on the 6th fret E string. So by knowing where these extra notes are and adding them in, you can create more melodic ideas rather than just going up and down the arpeggio. So when you're playing over a backing track, this will really help. Bear in mind, this is just one chord, one arpeggio. So once you get to grips with this and you start to incorporate it into your own music or play it over backing tracks, once you've got the hang of this, you can start to learn major 7 arpeggios, dominant 7 arpeggios, things like that. And then you'll be able to move around the neck and create even more interesting ideas. Okay, so that pretty much wraps things up for this lesson. As I said, you can practice these over the backing track if you're a Patreon member. In a moment, I'll show a quick video of me just doing some improvisation with this arpeggio and adding in a few of the other notes as we discussed over the backing track. I'm mostly just tapping everything, using the arpeggio and then just adding in the extra notes. In the middle, I used the D minor scale to do a little bit of picking and then went back into the tapping. Obviously, if you're going to use this for your own playing, you can use the backing track as a way of practicing the arpeggio, or just practicing improv in general. But if you were writing a song with this, then obviously you'd want to mix in other techniques and incorporate more dynamics, things like bends and things, just to make it a bit more interesting. So enjoy and see you next time.